tips to move from head to heart. I believe this is crucial to helping you, get in touch with your inner truth, to actually find your purpose, your meaning, your own balance and rhythm and harmony. Because each one of us, it's slightly different. You know what the tips that work for me wouldn't necessarily work for you. So that's how come I think it's such an important part to keep having these conversations and, exposing yourself to different ideas and techniques and mindsets and things of that nature, and keep the things that resonate and release those which do not. So that would be my first tip.
Debz is a stressologist. She will stretch your mindset to think bigger than you've ever thought before, with follow-through techniques that are realistic and achievable to blow any fear out of your mind. Moira is a mindset cultivator. She will help you align your personal trinity of self-trust, inner awareness, and self-confidence so that you discover and share your unique gifts and purpose. Together, their goal with these conversations is to share how our inclinations do not always work in our best interest and to provide the knowledge to leverage the gifts that already exist within each one of us. Their desire is to help you learn how to access the habits and behaviors that will lead to positive change and your best quality of life. Welcome to your deliciously motivated mindset.
Welcome, my dears. Welcome, dear Deb.
Hi.
Hello. Welcome, dear listeners. Here we are with another one of our deliciously motivated mindset conversations. This one I am really excited about because I talk about this whole getting you in from your head into your heart a lot.
I think I say this, I talk about it daily. It's got it's really often, isn't it?
Often. It is often.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm very much looking forward to this. A really great way to help you get from your head into your heart is to do a wee check-in. And we reference this
Perfect.
as our PEMS check-in. So that's, you're checking in to see, PEMS stands for physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. So we actually kick off each one of our conversations like this, where we just do a really quick assessment. How are you feeling in your body? How are you feeling emotionally? How are you feeling mentally and spiritually? It's really important to do it actually fairly quickly, just an assess, claim a number from 0 to 10, and then move on. And it's not about comparing yourself to other people or thinking you've got to get it right or anything of that nature. It's a really beautiful self-assessment tool. And so what we encourage you to do, we're all going to give ourselves a number from that 0 to 10. 0 is when everything's just flowing, beautiful, calm, peaceful, zen. And 10 is where you're discombobulated, stuck, chaotic, crazy making thinking, maybe. So you need some of these tips from getting out of there into your heart. And truth is, we move up and down that scale throughout our experience. So it's just being willing to show up for yourself as you are. So we also encourage you to just check in as we get to the midway point, and then we'll all check in again at the end. So all that being said, dear Deb, where are you on the scale of 0 to 10?
I'm going to say a 2, just because I feel a little bit out of sorts. Sleep, it's early in the morning and it's really warm and it's just feeling, so I'm just going to do a 2 because that feels a little bit where I'm at.
Interesting, because I actually just wrote down that I was at a 2 also. Probably for completely different reasons, but here's the thing is it doesn't really matter why. You just give yourself the number and move on. And so it was coming up for me that I was a 2 also. Maybe it's because I've got a wee bit of a scratchy throat, but we'll see. So moving into this, tips to move from head to heart. I believe this is crucial to helping you, get in touch with your inner truth, to actually find your purpose, your meaning, your own balance and rhythm and harmony. Because each one of us, it's slightly different. you know what the tips that work for me wouldn't necessarily work for you. So that's how come I think it's such an important part to keep having these conversations and, exposing yourself to different ideas and techniques and mindsets and things of that nature, and keep the things that resonate and release those which do not. So that would be my first tip, is to always be willing to study and to study. I'm saying study, but by that what I mean is to embrace or try out different suggestions. Try out different suggestions that we make to you, and listen and read and feel into. And even if something doesn't resonate to you, but you still feel like, oh, it might at some point, then record it, like make a wee note of that technique. And then keep the ones that resonate and discard what does not. So making you the authority in this. I guess that would be my tip, is making sure that you are taking authority or authorship, if you like, of the best toolkits, the best techniques that work for you. Does that make sense, Deb?
It does. And I was writing quite a lot because even when you were giving those tips, there was bullet points on their own
Yes,
for some of them.
I know. It's just like there, bang, bang.
I know, but it just unraveled that quickly. I know that one. I'm not sure if Moira said, but grab your note-taking device.
Oh yes, I did
Grab
say
your
that. Yes, do that.
Yeah, did we not? Usually, yeah. But I just remember thinking, oh, my pencil to write the notes down. So grab your note-taking device, because we will give you these tips, and it's obviously wise to write them down. But if you're driving and under circumstances and the rest of it, then maybe not. But, well, actually, my tip one was PEMS, which are physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. So tip one was actually how we rated ourselves at the start. Now, when Moira talked about tip two, or that tip, there was so much in there, and she said, I'm just going to keep having conversations. I think that was a beautiful piece of that. Like, don't hide from it. Either keep it or release it, like move quickly, make a decision and move on. Don't let it dwell. And I love that you're the authority of you. I think we often forget that. We often forget.
You're the boss of you.
Yeah. And
every time I say that, every time I say you're the boss of you, I have this image in my mind of like my 4-year-old self standing there,
hands on hips.
Hands on hips. I'm the boss. I'm the boss of me.
It is. Well, that's exactly it. And you're the one who's got to be accountable for the decisions you make, even if other people tell you to do it.
Yeah.
It actually still falls back on you, by the way. Just so you know.
Truth be told.
So there was so many in that one alone, and I know we're going to recap them at the end, but I would actually love you to, if you really liked that tip, how many tips did you get just from that one Moira tip? I just want to say, because there was quite a few in there. My one I'm going to add is, it's not the end. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end. This is not the worst you've been through. It's not the worst you're ever going to go through. Because obviously something has hit you because you're sitting in your head. Something has hit you emotionally, physically, whatever it is, playing over and over in your mind. So this is not the end. And there can always be a worse. Oh, it can't be any worse than this. Don't ever say that stuff, because it can. So it's not the end, and things are flexible. So even if you make a decision now, this is not the end. You can move that, and it falls back into you're the authority of you.
Yeah, I like that. Listening to
her, the pivot again.
I know. I actually was saying that earlier. It's like I feel like that is 2024 is going to bring about pivots. I think it's going to bring about.
We're used to it now.
Yeah, we've got this. We got this. But I feel like in this year of 2024, it's about owning and a boost in courage. I feel like there's a boost in personal power, a boost in courage. And this is my next tip, is about balance. So, when we are in our head too much, we have forgotten that we need to be to be. We need to just have some time for being as well as doing. And I've been having conversations a fair bit about this balance of, it's about balancing the masculine and feminine within you. Regardless of you're a man or a woman, gender doesn't matter. We all have a masculine and feminine within us. And actually, it was funny because I brought this up to a group, and somebody was getting really triggered about me saying masculine and feminine, didn't like that verbiage.
Oh,
So I said, okay, fine. Let's just say beer and doer. Because of course the masculine is the
okay. Yeah,
doing
that's a nice
energy.
reframe.
I know, I thought so too. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
But it's still finding that harmony. So it's really important to, if you have a propensity to get stuck in your head, to be logical, to work things out, to tell yourself story, to have this constant narration and inner judgment happening, what can you do? And sometimes the best thing to do is to actually literally physically put your hand over your heart and take some deep breaths and acknowledge to yourself that you actually live from your heart space. Sometimes that's enough to just calm things down, calm your nervous system down enough to listen to the guidance of your heart, to, you're not going to stop the mind chattering because we can't. That's the nature of the mind, is to chatter. But you don't have to listen to it. You don't have to believe it. You don't have to get caught up in all the different nuances of it, right?
Yeah.
So that's my tip, is to balance and make sure that your own feminine, masculine, or beer or doer energy is in alignment with one another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She did mention hand on heart,
I
Moira,
did.
and I'm
She
actually
did.
gonna get Moira to discuss that more after my next one, because I think that's a tip on its own. Don't, because that's just my favorite go-to you can do in public. So one of that. But
Me too.
the one I'm gonna add on from that is, actually, we are built differently. We are built differently, height, color, hair, texture,
Preferences.
mannerisms. Yeah. Past stories have put us into places. We are built, one size doesn't fit all. So if you're comparing yourself because someone has gone through turmoil and they've come out the other end smiling, and you're like, well, mine was nothing like theirs, and I was way worse off at the end, and blah blah blah. If you're comparing your story to someone else's, I just want to remind yourself that we're built differently, even if, like, I don't, yes, just stop comparing yourself to others, because they're on their experience or experiential journey. You're on yours. You just choose what you want. Take a bit of what they've got if you want it, and don't take the rest, but just keep moving that train. Keep moving that train. Yeah.
Coming back into your inner self. I like that you brought that in, because we all have our own levels of resilience, and something that may make me just go into a big puddle of mush might make you feel, hey, I've got this, come on, move forward, and vice versa. And so if we start going, oh gosh, there's something wrong with me because I felt like I was reduced to this puddle, where I see somebody else going, no problem, I've got this. But people will look at you as being the champion too.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, own your stuff, own your foibles and your flaws and your quirks and your nature. Such an important part. And that's actually when we come into our heart space, we do allow ourselves to walk to the beat of our own drum, which is coming from our heart, right?
Which is perfect. Yeah.
But you had just said that you wanted me to bring back in that
Oh,
head into
I want
heart
to talk about
exercise.
hand on heart, because there's not really a strategy to it, but there is a strategy to it. The strategy is intention. Set your intention.
Absolutely.
For anything. But I want Moira not to just say hand on heart, like, tell us what.
So it is actually a technique. It's a technique that I developed many years ago, and it really helps you get present. And so if you
I do it half a dozen times at least a day, if not more. consciously that I'm aware of.
Right. So you can short circuit it and just literally put your hand on your heart. But if you are suddenly find yourself, ruminating or needing to make a decision and thinking you have to work it all out and be logical and be rational and all that blah blah blah, then what I encourage you to do, and it's a tapping routine. So you take the tips of your two fingers, you can do non-dominant hand or dominant hand, and you just literally tap very lightly on your forehead, in between your eyebrows, and just tap there, because now you're actually bringing physical awareness to, hey, I'm in my head, I'm chattering away and got all this blah, blah, blah going. And then you tap 3 times on the bridge of your nose, 3 times on the tip of your nose, then you tap underneath your nose on your upper lip, and just tap. You don't have to count there, you just tap there, and then you tap on your chin, just tapping, tapping, tapping. Now, if you're doing this with me, you'll start to feel that your awareness is coming down out of your head, and then you are going to make your hand into a light fist and tap all around your collarbone area, that the chest bone tapping all around that area. And then you open your hand up and place it over your heart and say out loud 3 times, I live here. I live here. I live here. And I like to just stay there, like just because as soon as I put my hand on my heart, there's a magnetic warmth. And it's because we're being tactile, we are staying very present and telling ourselves the truth. I live here. I live from my heart. And you can just stay there for as long as you need to, want to. Something I do before I make a decision about anything. So is that what you do often, that many times during your day, my dear?
I don't do the full. I literally just put my hand on my heart.
Mm-hmm.
I cut through all that. And one of the favorite things I do is that hand on heart. If somebody annoys you in the supermarket or something, like, you can just do it without without people knowing what's going on.
Absolutely. You can. Now, the whole technique that I just talked you through, I specifically work with people on that because it's actually extremely calming to your nervous system. So if you're feeling really anxious or just stressed out or nerves are jangling, that's such a beautiful way to tap into your limbic system and soothe your entire nervous system.
Yeah.
That's what that one's all about. But I agree with you. I put my hand on my heart all the time. Take deep breaths.
Yeah, it's just to me, it's an instant.
Mhm.
It's an instant.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm pleased I made you just say that one again. That's not skimming. That's not worth skimming over that one.
No.
Yeah. Tips to move from the head to heart. One of the things I just want to go back is, we talked about it's not the end of the world.
Right.
So I want you to go to acknowledge what it is that's causing you whatever it is right now. And all you've got to do, discombobulation, is actually is not ignore it, but actually acknowledge it.
Super important. Yes.
Whether you want to deal with it or not, or throw your toys, or how you want to deal with it, or whatever, but you just can't run away from acknowledging it. That's all. Just acknowledge that there's discombobulation going on. This is where I'm sitting. Or, okay, this is what it is. They've said this to me and I'm triggered by it. So all you have to do is that you can choose or not to deal with it, but you must acknowledge it and just go, okay, I can see this is what it is.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you don't want to deal with things straight away. I understand. Sometimes you have to. You've got no choice. But also just don't deny. Don't deny it.
No, and that's very, very important, because if you denied something, let's say something triggered you and you got really irritated or angry even. And oftentimes we're not really conditioned as a society to express certain types of emotions, particularly anger, I think. So it's the thing is I think anger is a beautiful gift, but we don't want to ever repress it, or stuff it down. Of course, you don't want to have a meltdown or a tantrum if you're in the grocery store or something, or start yelling
Or
at
maybe you
people.
do. I don't
Um,
know. Guess what we're going to do today, honey? Okay.
It's to acknowledge it, to tell yourself the truth, and then express it. See, what I'm saying about anger, sometimes anger is the ignition of the fire in your belly to do something different.
Mm.
So if what's getting you angry is that something's not changing and it keeps going and keeps going, well, you can say, oh, visit with anger, acknowledge it, and then use it to do something constructive. And then before you know it, you've got the change, or you've got the calmness and the balance and the ease and the flow, and you're in some completely different grateful
Yep.
space, right?
Yeah. But I think it can be that easy. I think that's the other thing, is it can be that easy.
Mhm.
As soon as you just acknowledge it, things can shift within you.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Acknowledging is extremely important. And so this is about what I'm saying, acknowledging to your point, Deb, it doesn't mean that you have to deal with it in that very moment, but you acknowledge it. I acknowledge I'm feeling fearful. I acknowledge I'm feeling anxious. But you see,
Yeah.
it's by doing that that you actually get the intelligence or the intel from those emotions coming up, because they're there to help you choose, to help you navigate, right?
Yeah. It doesn't have to be as overwhelming as what we think.
Yeah, see, as soon as we think, that means because we've leapt from our heart back into our head again.
Yeah. And we've got ourselves onto that crazy train again.
Yep, which is led by the head, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's the one. That's the one.
See, so we're going to do some of our A words, because you said acknowledge, and that takes me right into appreciate. So appreciate that the responses, the triggers, the emotions, they're for your guidance. They're for you. They're for you. They're not in spite of you. They're not to cause you chaos or derail you, but it's to appreciate everything you feel is an aspect of life flowing through you. And what a beautiful, beautiful gift that is,
Yeah.
right? And it goes into Deb's favorite gratitude phase
Yeah.
as well.
Surprise. Gratitude. 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 But yeah, well, the more you appreciates you, doesn't it?
That's right.
Comes back at.
Yeah.
Yeah. And uh, when yeah, I was thinking about our A words,
Mhm.
acknowledge and appreciate. I think the word I'm going to bring up is actually a word starting with T, and this is called trust.
Ha ha ha. There's another one. We
Just
often bring this one into our conversations for sure.
yeah, and this one can be challenging if you let it, if you overthink it. But if you can trust that the process, I know Moira just said, things are on the way, not in the way.
Mhm.
And sometimes we can't see that, but when you can trust that the process, the outcome is going to be the most perfect outcome, the journey is going to be perfect, like all part of that. If you trust that that's going to work out that way,
Resolve. Yeah, resolve, come to fruition. Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
I have trust. There's trust in yourself.
Mhm.
That's probably the biggest one.
Well, you know that I've said that so many times before. Trust is an inside job.
Mm,
Gotta trust you first before you can never trust anyone else,
yeah.
right?
And then we've got others, and then we've got the universe. But trust, yeah, I love how Moira says it's an inside job. It totally is. So trust is incredibly important for
Mhm.
the aspects of that, um, to keep you out of that hamster wheel head.
Yeah. And that, I always think of that too, is that with trust being an inside job, and there's an understanding that I think is really important, is that for every problem or issue or challenge, the answer already exists. The answer, the solution, the best way through, it already exists, because one never can exist without the other. So when we tap into trust, we can then say to ourselves, okay, I can't actually see the best choice or the best
Yeah,
solution or resolution. I can't
which
see
is
it right now.
common.
It
which
is
is common. Like just
with
yeah.
but with trust, it's to say, maybe I can't see it, but I know it's there. And so then you can let go of the narration and the chatter and the critic and all that that comes up in your mental chatterings. That you say, just because I can't see it doesn't mean it's not there and it's not on its way, right? To
Yeah.
surrender and be open to that.
And I guess that trust goes back to past stories, you know, yeah, past stories will hold us back. And that's the difference between Moira's upbringing and Moira's surroundings, compared to mine.
Yeah.
Because if we both watch the same scenario or act out the same scenario, they will have a different spin to it.
But even that, we're still going to, even if we did see the same scenario, we're still going to interpret it completely differently.
Filter it different.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
And that's how come trust is an inside job, right? Because I trust that I'm going to see it in the best way for me, but I can't convince somebody else of it. I can give insights or suggestions or inspiration, but it's about claiming authority of what you take on, which goes back to what I was saying at the beginning about in my own evolution and healing. I have been such a student of all things, quirky and energetic and metaphysical. And I know that there's things that I try on and try out and go, no, that doesn't resonate. That's not for me. It doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It's just, nope, that doesn't vibe for me. But maybe there's one weak component of it. And so then that stays as part of how I look after me. And I think it's such an important piece is that to really drop into your own inner wisdom to help make the choices and shift forward, right? It's about trust too, right?
Yeah, just like trust. Yeah.
A quick wee message before we get back to this episode. You can get access to a special gift Moira and Debz have put together for you. Go to deliciouslymotivatedmindset.com/gift. When you sign up, you'll receive instant access to an inner peace kit and the 30 Days of Wisdom program, both of which is intended to help you feel deliciously motivated right away. Go to deliciouslymotivatedmindset.com/gift.
I think I'm saying this, we've come into the new year, be gentle on yourself. And I say the word gentle, be kind on yourself, have compassion, whatever you want to call it, be gentle on yourself. So know that you make the best at the decisions at that time.
Yeah.
So if, how often, I think 99% we walk away from a disagreement with someone, we go, should have said that, could have said that, ought to have said that. Why didn't I say that? Oh, I'm so stupid. That whole, damn, I could have sliced them. So I think the thing there is just know that you're doing the best with what you have right here, right now. If you want to be risk taker, be a risk taker, but you chose to do that at this time because that was the best option you had.
Absolutely. And then have compassion and kindness for yourself, because oftentimes, to your point, we can look at something that we did yesterday or last year or last month and go, oh gosh, I should have done it this way. And we start to beat up on ourselves for it. But sometimes it's about just forgiving, saying, I know you did the best you could with what you did, with what you knew, and move on, let it go. It's not worth draining your energy.
And I think I want to say that's how easy it can be. It's like, okay, well, I did this. I can't take it back. I said that to my mother-in-law. I said that to my boss. Okay, I can't do anything, but I can just change my way moving forward on how to handle things.
Yeah.
Or whatever. But without beating yourself up that you've made a whoopsie, because there is actually no whoopsies in life. Everything just brings us back to being on purpose with what we're here for.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah. And so, but you see, the whole vibe of our conversation today is this tips to move from head to heart. And so maybe it's, if let's say you did say something inappropriate to somebody, like maybe you hurt their feelings, or you
No, Deborah would never say that. Never. You would never hear Deborah say anything inappropriate.
no,
Not at
never.
all.
But
Whereas like 3 minutes in, I've already made mental notes to wipe out certain things. Yeah.
but the thing is that if you had something like an impulse to say something, and in your head is like, I'm going to tell them, I'm going to give them a piece of my mind. I'll show you.
I'll show
But
you.
but maybe if that happened, then maybe that would be time to do that full exercise that I talked you through earlier, or just put your hand on your heart and just go, okay, I'm going to just take a few breaths here at my heart space to see, number one, do I need to say those words? Is it appropriate? Is it coming from my loving kindness that lives here in my heart? And sometimes that's enough. That's enough of a pattern interrupt to go, it's a waste of time saying that. I don't need to say that.
Well, that's that ego versus humble too, as well.
Mm-hmm.
Am I doing this just because I want to slice them publicly? Or am I doing this because there's a bigger cause out there? Or am I doing this because my ego is just having a dance party on its own?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And so that's when we get caught by the crazy making thinking. Then I just go, I am. Yep. You do deserve a piece of my mind. I would
Yeah.
never do that. I wouldn't ever do that myself.
The moment you feel your shoulders, no, never. Your shoulders go.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's actually a good point. So maybe you could just check in with your body, how much tension is in your body, and make a commitment to yourself. I'm going to just breathe and come to a sense of calm before I interact with anybody.
See, even just that one you just said then, that's a tip on its own. Make a commitment to yourself. Like, I'm just going to wait a moment.
Yeah.
Or I'm just going to listen, or I'm just going to compose myself. Or you know what? I'm not even going to, say anything right now. I'm just going to sit on this and I'll deal with it tomorrow. This is not worth my time to be getting into this late at night. Like any of that stuff. So, you're making that commitment to your head and your heart.
Mm-hmm.
To your body, to ease your body.
Mm-hmm. And that's actually another one that interweaves nicely with this making a commitment to yourself. I had this awesome conversation recently with a client who had a very visceral emotional reaction with her partner.
Mm-hmm.
And it made her get very weepy and teary and into this very challenging emotional situation. And she needed to communicate to make her point known. And so her partner's like, so tell me what's going on, like now. And she created some space. She put her hand on her heart and she said, no, give me some time. While she was having her meltdown and crying and just breathing. And she took her time to feel the intensity of the emotions that she was feeling. And then she took it time to speak it through. And it actually got resolved very, very quickly and with so much harmony and compassion on both sides. Whereas on the flip side, oftentimes when we get there and we try and communicate through that upheaval while we're in the intensity of that emotion. So this is what I'm inviting you to step into, making a commitment that you will allow yourself to feel your emotions, especially the intense ones, and actually come through it before then needing to explain or resolve or discuss. Is very healthy, and it actually does allow you to really come from your heart and have these beautiful heartfelt conversations, which creates a lot more harmony and calming around you.
I think, when you say to make that commitment to yourself, I literally don't consciously make that commitment. I just know that I only want to make decisions in my heart. because I know when I make decisions in my heart. So it's a knowing, and it's that trust and thing. You know, it's a knowing to know that if I make a decision in my heart, it's 100% right.
Mhm.
If I make a decision in my head, I can question it. So I guess I've probably programmed that into my brain or something along those lines that just sit in there. So I just go, oh, decision in the heart. Oh, decision in the heart. Oh, decision in the heart.
Mhm.
So that when people ask me something, I go, oh, what about that? And my mind starts racing. I'm like, oh, decision in the heart. And it goes straight back to that heart. So it's a quicker decision. It's one that you're not going to myelinate on and let the dust grow or or moss or anything.
Mhm.
But I love those. Make that commitment to yourself, because yeah, you're the most important person out there.
And the guidance that comes from your heart will be the right one. The thing
Mm.
is, and that's great that you do that. Not everybody does. And I think that's why it's so important to keep having these
Mm.
conversations, because I hold space all the time for people who are wired in a very different way. And
Yeah.
it's, agreements that we've made or habits we've got into or patterns or um, not even realizing that we can create a different way.
I
And
think
so,
that's the thing, is not even realizing that we can create a different way. Not
mhm,
even realizing that we can change anything. Not even realizing that we can turn left if we want
yeah,
and not have to worry about turning right.
yeah.
Like,
So that
yeah.
actually makes me think of a question I've often had on suggested on these episodes is this question to ask yourself: how does this make me feel about me?
Mm.
That's a beautiful way to just go, all right, I'm making decisions from my heart. How does it make me feel about me? Because your feeling is not how does this make me think about me? This is how does it make me feel about me?
Yeah, and well, I just wrote down having confidence and back yourself.
Hmm.
Because that, how does this make me, having confidence and back yourself that you've made the right decision. So that goes back to that trust.
Yeah,
Yep. Okay. How does it make me feel about me? Actually, quite poo. I want to change it. Okay. Then change it.
yeah,
Like, or
I'm the
not.
boss of me, so I can change it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So feeling, and this is what I'm saying about feelings being such a powerful guidance system. But if you're always in your head, you're gonna miss them.
Yeah.
That's why this is so essential, is to come into your heart space, to really own your own power as a creator being, right?
Yeah. I think I'm conscious of the time here, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
also just gonna add I'm gonna add one more. Moira might have another one yet, but one of
Mm-hmm.
the things I'm gonna add is, if I go blank, uh is know that Moira and I are here.
Mm.
We have different styles of how we help you deal with whatever's going on. But our techniques, as you know from our podcast, they're simple and they work. And when they don't work anymore for us, we up level and we tweak and we change and we do
Mm-hmm.
whatever,
Mm-hmm.
so just know that Moira and I are here, and you can reach out at any time. We're both in different time zones, so there's always somebody 24/7 for you.
Yeah, there you go.
um we've got you, peeps. We've got you around the clock. We're here for you. But I think the thing is, don't let this sit. Don't let all this stuff overwhelm you and get too chaotic and too gobbledygook, jumbled, mumbled. Don't sit in that 10. You know how we did the PEMS at the start.
Yes.
Just reach out, because we are here to help you from this. And we can see it often a lot quicker than you, because we've done this for years,
Mm-hmm.
well over 20 years each.
Yep.
But we, yeah,
No,
trust us.
I really like that you brought that in, Deb, because that's the thing is we can suggest tips all day long. But sometimes you try something and oh, I should fix this. I need to get through this, and oh, I just learned
But then
this technique. But if it's not shifting, you do need somebody to hold
yeah,
space for you, and that's part of what we do, is holding space and helping you deconstruct areas where you are feeling stuck.
yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. She summed that up. Amazing. Surprise. Okay, any tips that you want to finish on before we wrap it up?
No, I think we'll go through the
Okay, we've got
tips and
okay.
I'm sure more will come because that's kind of what we do.
I know.
Oh,
Surprise.
there's something else here.
Yeah. So if you didn't grab pen and paper, note-taking device, whatever it is, grab it now because we're literally going to sum up everything we've talked about in as quick as time as we can. Tips to move from head to heart.
Mhm.
Oh, I love that. Just move from your head to your heart. Even just saying that allows my PEMS to move down. Tip number 1 was PEMS,
That's
actually.
right.
What's your
Rating your
PEMS?
physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual.
Yeah.
Yes.
And which we're going to do at the end as well.
Yes, we
And then
will.
once you know what that is, then that's it. Move on. Done. That's my PEMS. And now I can carry on. Yeah.
Yep. And no big blah, blah, blah storytelling about, oh, what's wrong with me? How come I did this? It's like, nope, nope, that's what it
I
is.
haven't got time for that. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that's the one. That's tip number 1.
Yes. And then we kind of went all over the place. I went and did a whole big plethora of tips, which I said was tip number 1, but it's actually tip number 2. But I said, claim authority. Always remember, you are the author of your experience. And so, but what I was talking about there was by all means, keep studying what works for you, what resonates, what feels good for this type of emotional upheaval or this form of discombobulation, and know that there is, to Deb's point, there is no one size fits all. And so you may resonate with one tip out of all the ones we did, or you might have 6, or you might take a little piece out of different ones and then fashion your own self-soothing, self-care, head into heart techniques of your own.
Yeah.
So keep what resonates and discard the rest.
Perfect. The next tip, I'll get my words out, Deborah. It's not the end, because I
Right.
wrote all these notes and I'm like, why don't you just sum this up at the time, Deborah, is what my internal dialogue to myself said. So it's not the end. It's not the worst. Whatever's happening right now is not worst case scenario. There's always something worse down the track if you're going to focus on that. But this is not the end. This is just a time to regroup, refresh, calm your farm down.
Calm
So
your
just
farm.
remembering it's not the end.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think that's an important part. It's not worst case scenario ever. It's okay, this is where I am.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. It's
The
like,
next,
okay.
the next
Yeah.
one I have here is where I talked about balance. Balancing the doer and the beer within you. Remember that it's so important. That's that masculine and feminine balance. And when we do our physical, emotional, mental, spiritual check-in, that is actually the opening to check in with your masculine and feminine well-being. So you want all 4 of those pillars level. So I think of them as the 4 table legs. So how flat is your table?
Oh yeah. better get them right.
Yep. And then so when we have our own right rhythm of the just allowing ourselves to just be before getting up and getting into the doing space, it's so important. Such an important part, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I just want to add, because she said 2 words that really got me that I wrote down was finding harmony. And even
Yes,
just that finding harmony calms that whole thing right down.
absolutely
Just
does.
there.
Yeah.
The next one, Moira, we squeezed in was hand on heart, where she just thought she'd just slip that in without any thought. So I made her emphasize that one again. So just hand on heart, and I do the short version, just putting my hand on my heart, and then Moira does the full version where she gets you present, and it goes from A to Z. It doesn't really go A to Z.
No. It starts
But
tapping at your head and tapping, 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 tapping to come down to say to yourself that you live here, here being hand on your heart.
And if you don't understand how that went, then reach out. Then just go, I don't get what you're saying. What am I tapping? Where am I going? Like, just reach out.
Yeah,
Don't let this sit and myelinate in your own brain.
definitely ask, reach out.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. Okay.
Who's
then,
next?
yeah, I don't know. I've written down we're built differently. I'll just do the next one.
Yes, you do
It's-
that one.
They all just combobulated into one. Surprise. We're built differently.
Mhm.
So be aware that you can't compare yourself. You can, but it's just going to be a waste of your time and energy.
Yes, it's
Of
gonna
comparing
it's
yourself to
gonna
somebody.
spin you down a negative spiral if
Yeah.
you say, oh, I need to be doing it like that person does. Because
Yeah.
no, you need to be doing it the way you do it.
No, this way. Yep, that's the one.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is actually perfect entrance into this next one is to acknowledge. Acknowledge what's going on and what you feel, not through the lens of what you think other people think of you or what you think they're experiencing. Acknowledge, it could even just be I acknowledge that I'm feeling discombobulated. Acknowledge I'm feeling worried or weary or scared or anxious.
You'll see this acknowledgement doesn't have to take you on a spiral. Like it
No.
doesn't have to. It's just like, okay, acknowledge it. Righto. Well,
Yep.
there, we'll deal with it then.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It's not a gremlin stuck in the corner. It's
No.
acknowledge there it is.
And then we've got my little favorite one.
Mhm.
Surprise, which is appreciate. Which is
Yes.
appreciate and also another way of saying gratitude. So it's just appreciate what you have, appreciate what you don't have, appreciate that what's been thrown at you, appreciate that you've caught it or not caught it, like whatever it is. So just appreciate. That's
Yep. Appreciate how resilient you are. Appreciate you are
yeah.
always in the right place at the right time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. I love that. I love that one. And always remember that what you appreciate appreciates. Such an important part. Talking about important parts, the next one that we had was trust. And I
Boom,
always
boom.
like to say that trust is an inside job. And
Yeah.
when I say that, I think that it's so important. I know that Deb talks about the 3 levels of trust, about trusting yourself, trusting others, and trusting the universe. But I believe that until you trust yourself, you're never going to trust another, and you're not going to trust the universe. So that's where I mean about trust is an inside job, because
Yeah.
it's crucial, it's essential, it's non-negotiable. Got to trust yourself. And that means also to be kind to yourself. Acknowledge that you are always doing the best you can with what you know and where you're at and what your resources are and what you're aware of. Right.
And what yeah. Yeah, be gentle on yourself. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Well, then I also had Moira was talking. Moira was talking, but I summed it up with which is what. Okay.
Words are just not coming out your mouth very well
We'll just
today.
say that one. So there's a thing called my God, humble versus ego. We'll get that one back.
Right. There you go.
There we go. So after that, trust and be gentle on yourself and have kindness for yourself. Be aware of your humble versus ego, as in make that commitment to yourself that I'm going to do what's best for me right here, right now, and I'm going to make these decisions. And that's once I've made that decision, that's where I'm at. But also just be aware: is this an ego decision or is this a humble decision? Like, no, this is actually what I need to do right now. This is where I'm at.
Right.
Yeah.
I like that. And I think when we were talking about that,
Feel the emotions I actually had.
Yeah.
Also there.
I wrote it down as to make a commitment to yourself to ride the wave of the emotions and actually choose the right time. Like if you're feeling really triggered or really emotional about something, that's not the best time to be making a decision, number one. Nor is it really about communicating your way through it. So ride the wave, feel your feelings, and then communicate. It'll actually allow you to really come from your heart when you're communicating and actually create harmony and balance all around you when you do that, right?
Yes.
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 And that actually added my question that I've often said in these episodes is, how does this make me feel about me? It's such a excellent question to help you tap into your feeling nature, not your blah, blah, blah in the mind chatter.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've written down powerful guidance. No idea what that is.
I think that was you saying that
Oh,
we
was
are
it?
here for you. That we are
Okay.
yeah, I think that was your tip. The one that you put in, that if you're struggling with any of these ideas and you maybe any of the tips that we've suggested, you think, oh my God, I don't know how to do that. Reach out. We are here. And that's when Deb was saying, we've got you covered 24 hours basically because of the time
But yeah,
difference.
we have between one time zone and another. Yeah. So is that all our tips? Because I've got back yourself, which would sit under trust, confident, back yourself. I don't know.
Yeah,
Have you had any other tips? That's it.
No, that was all I had. But yeah, I
Okay.
remember you saying back yourself. That I think that's when we were talking about trust.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, we got through those tips, didn't we?
We did. We did.
And that was our tips to move from our head to our heart. Obviously,
Mhm.
our conversation today. So one of the things we do when we finish, before we finish this, is we check in with ourselves, because we did our PEMS, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. We did it at the start, we did it at the halfway point, and now we're just doing it at the end. And it's just one of those, oh, that's what it is. And the
Mhm.
reason we do it 3 times for us here is for you to see that things can change. You can take a phone call during this and you can go from a 3 down to an 8, or you've got things to do, or you can even go from an 8 just by listening to 2 tips and go straight up to a 2.
Mhm.
So the key is to practice this daily. More than once, just go, where am I feeling today? No wonder I'm feeling frazzled. I'm trying to get to this meeting on time. So check in with your PEMS often. We only did it 3 times. So just on this call here. So just check in and see where you're at, because it's a simple, easy process to calm your
It's
farm
a
straight away.
self-assessment. Self-assessment.
Self-assessment.
Yep.
So we were both 2s. Where are you now, Moira?
I'm going to put myself at a 0.5.
Okay.
I really enjoyed the tips and the conversation. Always love the getting out of your head into your heart conversations,
Oh,
but I still do
yeah.
have a little tickle in my throat. So that's why I'm saying there's still a wee bit of a 0.5 there. How about you?
Okay. I'm going to a 1 because I've just had a coughing thing going on. So I'm going
Yeah.
to a 1 because I'm like, come on, what is this
Mhm.
shift? What is this shift? And so, yeah, 1 for me, 1 for me. So listeners, we would love to know definitely where you were, where you started with, where you were halfway, and where you were at the end. And even if you could just pick that up as being a regular check-in with yourself daily,
Mhm.
weekly, whenever you feel like it, just to go, oh, that makes sense because I haven't eaten, or or oh, that makes sense, I had a better yuck sleep, or so
I've
your
got
physical,
way too
emotional,
many things
mental.
on my to-do list.
Yeah, there's so much pressure from everyone else. No, it's not. It's all your pressure. Yeah. So just use that test. So these are obviously our tips to move from head to a heart. So if you really like today, we would love to know so the next step is, what's your favorite tip? Share
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
Share us and tell us what's your favorite tip and why. I know I say don't say the why, but why did this one pull you in?
Yeah.
I do say don't say why, but I want to know why this one
No,
pulled you
just
in.
say what was it that inspired you so much about it.
Oh, there you go.
That's the easier way to
That's
say it.
it.
No
That's
why
an easy
there.
way to say it. Yeah. What inspired you? There you go. That's how it's done. That's how it's done, team. So that's our deliciously motivated mindset conversation with Debz and Moira, where we have discussed tips to move from our head to our heart. Thank you, Moira. Thank you, listeners, and thank you, Internet.
Definitely. Thank you, Internet. Thank you, listeners.
Thanks.
Thanks,
See
Deb.
you next time.
See you next time.
Hear you next time. Yeah.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.